Hi, I'm here on beautiful Fort Lauderdale Beach, yachting capital of the world, and would like to talk about the top 5 misconceptions about buying catamarans. You know, I've found that it's a lot easier, less expensive, and sometimes less painful when you're buying a boat to learn from others' mistakes and not make them yourself. And by knowing what these misconceptions are, you're going to save a lot of time, a lot of money, and headaches, in my opinion. So here's misconception number 1, and these are in no order of importance. So I get a lot of people calling me who say, oh yeah, I can restore a hurricane damaged boat. I've fixed up houses. I'm handy with mechanical things and tools. Yeah, let's talk about these hurricane boats. And then, they want to talk for 8 hours and learn everything about restoring a boat, only to find out that hurricane repairs have gotten much more difficult in recent years because the systems are more proprietary. That is, the manufacturers of electronics, engines, rigging, other components want to support their service technicians, so they purposefully make it difficult for you to do it yourself. So it's not like the old days where you could just easily rebuild a diesel or fix electronics or fix rigging or whatever. It's difficult, and you're dependent on these very high priced technicians. The other thing about hurricane boats is, it takes 3 times as long as you think to fix things, and it costs 3 times as much. I used to own a boat yard here, and I fixed up 6 hurricane wrecks, and I'd never do it again. It's just too much work and too risky, because you must understand that these wrecks are mostly classified as constructive total losses, CTLs. And when the insurance company does this, the hull ID numbers, go into a blacklist database, and the insurance companies, most of them, won't insure them ever again, and the finance companies won't either. So if, let's say you don't need a loan, but let's say when you're ready to go sell it, well, a lot of people need to get a loan, and they won't be able to. So, all this money you dumped into this thing is going to be worthless. And it would have the same amount of money if you just put it in another boat that wasn't a CTL. And I can show you how to find the best candidates for this. It would be much better spent, because when you're done, you actually have something that is valuable, unlike a hurricane wreck. That was number 1. Okay, number 2. People come to me and they say, oh yeah, I want the deal of the decade, and I want to find it in Florida, where it's convenient for me, And no, that doesn't happen. Because, you see, what you must understand is that Florida is very easy for many buyers to get to, from North America, Canada, and for every hot listing that I have, and I define a hot listing as any cat, owner version, max 4,000 engine hours, max 6 years old, and if it's here in Florida, it gets shown 30, 40 times a month, right? There's a lot of buyers here. They all want convenience, which I think is overrated, by the way. And that same boat, if it's down in the Caribbean, like in Belize, or sometimes Grenada and other islands, they'd be lucky if that boat gets shown once in 3 months. And so you have a supply-demand imbalance. It creates buying opportunities when you're willing to take a boat in far out areas. But I would rather buy a boat, take delivery in the Caribbean any day than the high tax state of Florida. you know, and so you're not going to find deals in Florida. Now, when you go to sell, Florida's the place. Okay, bring the boat here. It's a high demand area. That's the place to sell, but not the place to buy. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3. People come to me and they say, I don't have much or any experience, and I need training. And I own America's oldest sailing school here in Miami, although we're taking a hiatus right now because we lost all of our slips in Hurricane Irma, so we're just doing powerboat classes now. Anyway, they say, I'll wait to get my boat and then I'll get training. No, you can't do it that way, because the insurance company, when you go to apply for insurance, will want a sailing resume, and they're looking for comparable experience. And when they see that you don't have enough, they're going to say something like either, no, sorry, we can't insure you, which will probably be most of the time. But let's say we find a company that will cover you. What they're going to say is, okay, for the first 6 to 12 months, you have to have a licensed U.S. Coast Guard captain in command of the vessel at all times, even if you're just moving it 50 yards from that fuel dock over there from your slip. Okay, now, and this is expensive and impractical, because you can never find these captains when you need them. So forget that. Get training as soon as you can. I can show you how to do it in an accelerated fashion at the lowest cost. Just contact me through my website, largecatamarantsforsale.com. All right, that was number 3. Number 4, I have a lot of people come to me and they say, yeah, I don't have much experience and I want to buy a boat in Europe because I have relatives there and I've always wanted to cruise there, or I see these really cheap prices in Croatia, Italy, and Greece. Well, here's the thing. When you don't have experience, Europe I don't think it's the place to be. It's different than the Caribbean. The Caribbean is easy. There's 1,000 places you can anchor for free. There's not a lot of hazards. I mean, there are hazards, but not a lot to get you in trouble. Now, but Europe's different. I kind of compare most of Europe to cruising in New York Harbor. It's like it's a crowded urban area. Sometimes it's long distances between marinas, and you can't just like anchor off of some parts because it's 1,000 feet deep right up to the beach. So what are you going to do? And sometimes there are no slips, so you kind of get trapped when you're a newbie. And so Europe is complicated and expensive, and surveyors they're not as plentiful, so you have to fly them in, so it's much more expensive, and there's also tax traps. So don't buy in Europe. That can be your second purchase, not your first. Okay. And the last one is, I get all the time, well, I consider buying an older, larger cat because I can handle the repairs. Well, that's what we call money pits. And no, don't buy a money pit, especially if you're a newbie. Okay, because the problem with these older boats is that catamarans have twice the systems that can break down. Okay, twice the engines, twice the drives, more electrical wiring, more opening ports. That over time the caulking shrinks and cracks, and then they start leaking. So there's just more things that go wrong as it ages. So they're twice the money pit of a monohull. And but here's the thing: if you buy a money pit, is going to be unreliable. I mean, this is the precise reason that charter companies sell them in year 5. They want to get rid of them as fast as they can because they know what's about to happen. And so when you have an unreliable boat and you're out in a storm, unreliability translates to unsafe. Because if you lose engines, rig, sails, whatever, when it's blowing 60 knots, you know, and then you're about to get dashed up on the rocks, that's can ruin your day. It's not safe. So, you know, yeah, if you're just going to park it and use it as a floating home, okay, that's maybe a little different. But to really, you know, cruise and be able to sail around, you need reliability. All right, so those are my 5 top misconceptions that I see repeatedly, and I invite you to contact me through my website, largecatamarantsforsale.com. I'll be happy to share with you actual selling price histories on the different models. It's a private database that we have, and this is a smart way to know what the market's doing. So that's about it for today. I wish everybody smooth sailing.